Hello, and thank you for joining us for Living Well in Montana. Living Well in Montana is a program provided to you by LIFTT, Living Independently for Today and Tomorrow. Living Independently for Today and Tomorrow is a nonprofit center for independent living that advocates for people with disabilities in the southeastern 18 counties of Montana. Today we have with us Michael Mooney. He is the chapter president of the local Montana Association for the Blind. Michael, welcome.
Hi, hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with blindness?
Okay, I'm Michael Mooney. I was born December 16th, 1983, and I was a perfectly healthy child. Or meaning, I don't know. I didn't have any, nothing. My blindness, so long story short, when I was 20 years old, I was in a car accident. I was in a head-on collision car accident June 1st, 2004. Wow. And that's how I became blind. And I mean, there's lots to tell about what you want to know. That was the beginning of my blindness, and here we are. It's been over 18 years.
How was your initial period of adjustment to your blindness?
Well, the first 59 days of it, I was in the hospital, so that was interesting in itself. It was more, I had to be tough for my family, all the people and my friends that would come and visit me. Like, that was the initial getting to, and I was in denial a lot. Like, I'm not blind, I'm gonna wake up on the side of the road, this is all just a dream. But then after years and years go by, you're not gonna wake up.
Right.
And then I moved to Ohio after my accident because I was told services were better there. And maybe they are for some people, but I found trouble, and it took me like 11 months to get a white cane.
Really?
And but once I learned about the vocal rehab and self-advocation, I went to the Colorado Center for the Blind in Denver, and I did 9 months of independence training for the blind there. And I learned Braille, travel, their technology, which is, computer, JAWS, running a Windows computer, and then Braille, technology, home management, and travel were their 4 main classes.
Was your sense of accomplishment, your sense of confidence better when you left the program? Did you feel like you could make it independently?
Oh, I mean, even from day one being there, because I was the first blind person I ever met at 20 and a half.
Really?
And I mean, I'd seen movies, and Daredevil, and I might have saw one at the mall, but I never actually interacted with a blind person until I became blind. And I've stayed in a hotel at National Convention with NFB with like 2,000 blind people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I bet that's a real eye-opener, huh?
And then, so after day one of, like, all the staff and students that are blind, so it's like, knowing that you're not the only one, that really, like, from day one. And then, I learned Braille faster than anybody that Tom Anderson had ever saw, grade 1 and grade 2. I learned the Nimeth code, which is math. So when I'm rusty now, it's been a while. And then I knew a little music Braille, and it took about 6 months to learn all that.
What kind of accomplishments have you achieved since your blindness? What kind of things have you done? What do you enjoy?
Well, I'm a father.
That's
I have an 8-year-old
wonderful.
son. Yeah, that's probably been one of the coolest things. But before that, I found some great organizations for the blind, like Eagle Mount here in Billings, Ski for Light, and then after that, I found the International Paralympic Committee and the U.S. Paralympic, and competed in cross-country skiing and international biathlon in the national level and continental level.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And then I hurt my knee, though, in 2016. I have not competed since.
Oh, I love it. I love that. I love that you went from, how am I going to do this, to, you're doing amazing things. I've known you as a martial artist, so.
Yeah, when that was how I hurt myself. I was also competing in judo, and I probably shouldn't have been as good a skier as I was. But it is what it is. And I'm thankful for everything that happens to me because it makes me who I am. And if I wasn't, then it'd be a sad day every day.
No, I think you're right. I don't think anybody could have said it any better. That's fantastic. Good for you. What will you tell us about what the MAB is, the Montana Association for the Blind, and what it does, what function it serves for its members or people needing support?
So I believe we're officially a service organization, and I know for myself it's keeps me in the loop with what's going on in the blindness world. We have monthly meetings in several towns or communities around the state. I'm not sure of the exact amount of chapters, and it fluctuates year by year. Sometimes chapters fold and then new ones, like Missoula's back, they're doing good. They had closed for a while. We have a yearly adult learning weekend, I believe is how it's called, but it's the summer orientation program.
Is that the one at Rocky?
Yes, and now it's been at Rocky for 2 years, and before in the past it was at Carroll College for, I don't know, like 20 years. And that's a cost-free program for people dealing with vision loss or who are blind and need or want skills or don't. Kind of like how I went to the Colorado Center, like when I didn't know that, but it's a condensed program. I believe right now it's 4 weeks.
Okay.
And they're planning on expanding it, but with funding and things. And those are similar class schedule. They have travel, technology, which is computers and phones, Braille, I believe. And then they have independent living, which is like home management. And a couple other classes, I'm not really sure. Wood shop, and they actually do that out at Lockwood School.
That sounds
They got
so
a partnership out at the Lockwood School wood shop, and they do wood shop there.
That sounds really fun. You have to say. I love that. Do you guys have any programs that you do, or?
So each chapter kind of has their own entities. Like in Bozeman, they have the Independent Living Center, I believe it's called, and they have like low vision aids and things. You can go there and test them or try them out. Here in Billings, we have a yearly fundraiser. We sell raffle tickets, usually at the beginning of the year.
And to raise funds for those programs?
Yep, in the summer orientation program in our local, we do usually each year we do a bowling day, a summer picnic, and that we will actually be planning at our next meeting in September, and it'll probably be in September or the beginning of October, most likely the end of September.
Okay.
And that's just like a social outing. We just meet at the park, and the club buys food and drinks for everybody to hang out.
Sounds really fun.
Yeah.
That's probably a great way for new people.
The Rimrock Chapter also marches in the Laurel 4th of July Parade.
Oh, you
We've
do?
done that for 5 or 6 years now. And since SOP has been here the last 2 years, it's grown and grown. I think we had over 25 people with our group this year.
Wow.
And this year we did for the first time, and it was on short notice, the St. Patty's Day Parade also.
Really?
We're kind of getting in all the parade.
Now, what's the SOP?
That is the Summer Orientation Program.
Okay, just
that's
the
that
acronym.
summer
Okay.
School. They call it summer school. Some people do.
Okay.
For the blind in Montana, and you don't actually have to be from Montana. There was somebody from New York, I think, and Florida. One person from Canada.
That's fantastic.
So I mean, if there's blind people, somewhere else, let them know about us.
Okay.
We can help too.
Absolutely. So let me. Is there a hot topic that the MAB is talking about right now? Are there hot button issues that are going on?
So there are things in talks, but I don't know all the exacts, and they will be talked here in less than 2 weeks. We are having our state convention.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to skip ahead. I think
That's
we were
okay.
going to
No,
talk about that later.
go ahead and tell us about that.
September 9th through the 11th at the Doubletree Hotel in Helena, Montana. We're having our yearly convention, and there's a lot of information shared there. There's outbreak sessions. They bring in, speakers, and I honestly don't know who those speakers are going to be. I apologize, so I'm not planning on attending. I apologize. But all that information should be on our website at mabsop.org. That's mabsop.org. Sorry.
Perfect. No, that's great. Do they have to be visually impaired to attend, or
No,
can?
definitely not. And like when I first got involved with the MAB, there weren't that a lot of members, and the ones that were like teachers of the blind,
Okay.
people that had blind children, or there was one lady, her dad was blind and he had passed years ago, and she just had stayed part of the organization. And we need drivers and people to read sometimes. We get printed material in the mailbox. So it's always good to have a sighted person around sometimes.
So is the MAB, then would you say the MAB could maybe benefit from some volunteers?
100%.
Okay.
The only position, I believe, is the presidential positions, and that is conditionally. So like at our chapter, a president has to be visually impaired or blind, unless one is not available. If all the members are sighted, then a sighted member is going to be the president.
Right. That makes sense.
That's the only condition we have that I know of,
Okay.
where we recommend you be blind or visually impaired.
It's helpful.
To be the president.
How do you find, we talk about peers in at LIFTT also. How do the members find sharing their liked experiences? Does that really help the members out? Do you gain insight and positivity or perspective from everybody sharing their experiences? Because I know that there are different levels and different aspects of blindness for every individual person.
Definitely.
But does sharing your experiences with each other, does that benefit you all?
I'd say 100%, and especially for me personally, because I had mentioned I was the first blind person I ever met, and that happened in a car wreck, traumatic injury. Now I meet people, some were born blind, some slowly go blind, some have conditions, get disease. One guy got chicken feces in his eye, caused his blindness.
Oh my
And
goodness.
you always hear it's like, whoa, really? Self-inflicted wounds sometimes. But then even at our chapter, we're really growing. SOP's helping that, the summer orientation program. We've had 18 people at our last 2 meetings.
Wow.
And one of them, unfortunately, he did just recently move to Havre. He was our newest member, Ron. He had mentioned, I thought I was the only blind guy around here. And sharing tips about our iPhones. And how do you do that? Or somebody's like, can we meet up and work on travel? Like just sharing resources and information. And like this channel, like once I share about this, because I've recently learned about you guys and what you do. So I'll be sharing for sure.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. What changes have you seen in your time with the MAB, or what changes would you like to see the MAB?
So there have been some changes. When I first joined the Montana Association for the Blind, was I don't know how to say it, but the National Federation of the Blind and the MAB were one.
Okay.
Somehow, I don't know how it happened. And I was there, it was like 10 years ago, in Missoula, at a DoubleTree, and they voted to split. And I voted for it. I'm all for the Montana Association for the Blind, but I'm all for what the NFB represents too. So but the division's not good. So I would like to see everybody who wants to help the blind in Montana and is blind be on the same page.
That makes sense. Can you talk about what the difference is in? What the
So
difference?
the NFB's main philosophy is changing what it means to be blind.
Okay, now
And
what
as
does
far
that
as-
mean? Changing. Can you define that?
That's what I do every day. Honestly, because people have misconceptions of blindness. like even me and my mother, when I first, oh, I'm just retarded now, I'm going to be in the basement. No offense. Sorry to use bad words. But like people say things or think things like,
Right.
you'll never do anything now. You know what I mean? Like, and because I'm blind, I'm hard of hearing too. People just don't know.
Right.
And I'm sorry where the basis of that question was. I just got off on what
No,
people
I
don't
liked
know.
your answer. I was just asking what the difference was. If there's a difference in philosophy
it's mainly,
or
and it was about funding and money, a bank account, I believe. There was a pretty large bank account, MAB, and NFB policy is half of all funds go to them, which is understandable at their level. But this was already, I don't know. I cannot speak on these things.
right. No.
But we all want to help the blind, and they do. I mean, the National Federation of the Blind, they're worldwide. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of members. I believe our last count was around 150.
Okay.
And that's really low because there are thousands of blind Montanans or visually impaired, and there's sighted people that work in the fields or just want to come be a part of an organization. We need secretaries, accountants, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes there's not always a blind person capable or a sighted person. So we just all got to help each other out.
I totally agree. So you were talking about misconceptions. Do you think there are any big, massive misconceptions or things that you'd like to?
Yes, and that's why
I'll combine that with my.
Sure, sorry to interrupt you, but
You're fine.
I have my sunglasses on my forehead because I know you're visually impaired. I don't know how.
Yes.
Most people think I gotta have my sunglasses on, but we're inside. The only reason I wear sunglasses is because the sun is not good for my eyes.
Right.
And they look cool too. I'm not gonna lie. But
Right.
and that I should have a dog. Well, I mean, dogs are good companions, but I don't need a dog to travel. I learned how to use my cane very well when I was in Denver, and since then I use it every day.
Right.
Keep those skills fresh.
It's true.
Those are probably the biggest two, and that I need help. Or like if I mention, how did you do that? Like I can't do anything on my own, or stuff like that.
That leads into one of my last questions is, for somebody that is newly visually impaired, newly blinded, or struggling with sight loss, what would be your advice to them?
First off, don't ever give up. And then ask questions, find the resources. If you're in Montana, get a hold of the MAB or the NFB, anybody. Recall, I mean, even your churches would be good possibly, but there's a lot of organizations out there that will help you do anything you want to do. Last year, sorry to go back again, I
Please do.
I connected with an organization in Wyoming, the Wyoming Disabled Hunters out of Cody.
Okay.
And it was I didn't think they'd actually be able to help me kill a deer. Well, I went down there, and it was Friday, October 30th, because I'll totally remember the day of the dead deer. It was on Halloween. So the day before I got there, and I went out with this guy to the target range, and they have this, he said it's night vision technology that he put on, and it's just a regular rifle that has this device on his scope with a screen, and he tilts it, and he's sitting right next to me, so he can see where the crosshairs are lined up. And he told me to fire. We're at the range. I don't know, we did about 6 rounds. When I had 3, like as close as my fingers can touch. It was pretty good. I was like, that's a nice grouping. And then the next morning, we were back at the lodge with the deer that I killed by myself by 11 o'clock.
I love it.
And so Wyoming Disabled Hunters, and you can be from anywhere in the country. That is also a cost-free program. And I was the first blind person they had in like 10, 15 years. So any disability, most of the people there were in wheelchairs. They were hunting at the time when I was. And it was the first year that all the deer hunters filled their deer tags on the first day. That's why I call it the Day of the Dead. And it was Halloween last year, the Day of the Dead Deer.
I love that. That's fantastic.
So, I mean, get a hold. There's organizations. If you want to go do something, there's a group that'll help you. I've been surfing with organizations in California. I've rode tandem bicycles in Tennessee. I mean, there's stuff anywhere you want to do it, it's there. That's what I would say. If you are recently blind, just don't give up and try to get yourself a cane. Learn how to use that. And if you want a dog, then get one. But you're only as good as traveler as you are. That dog don't tell you where to go.
That's true. Totally. I love it. Michael, if we want, our viewers want to know about the MAB, where can they get a hold of you guys? How can they get in contact with you?
So at the state level, the MABSOP.org, that's the Montana Association of Blind Summer Orientation Program.org. But in each town, in that website will also tell you what cities have a local chapter. And here in Billings, and I'm actually from Laurel, so anybody in this area is invited. We meet the second Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. at the American Legion. That's at 1540 Broadwater. And we're in the Yellowstone room. And it's a very nice large space. We got room to grow, so come on down.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't talked about? Just want to make sure we covered it all. No, that's fine. No. I think it's important that people understand, if they don't know, to reach out and explore resources. You know, organizations like LIFTT, organizations like Michael's organization, and the people that meet, they're the ones with the info, you know.
Eagle Mountain's good in town. They have a weekly social night.
Have you? Oh, really?
They got all kind of stuff. And now that fall's coming up, I will be signing up for their cross-country skiing.
Okay.
Their winter program. They do downhill skiing, snowshoe in the winter, and they do like equestrian, horseback riding in the summer. There's golf camps. They do bikes. And I do know that once a week they meet and do different things. Like it might be movie night. It's social hour. I live in Laurel, so I do not get to attend those. It's not convenient for me.
Understandable.
The transportation.
Yeah.
But definitely look them up too. They're in they serve all disabilities at Eagle Mount. And MAB, we are a blindness service organization or vision, but anybody's welcome. Like we had mentioned, we like sighted members. If somebody's got something else going on, come on down.
Yes. And I'll remind you again, you said you guys are looking for volunteers.
Always.
Sometimes need readers or
drivers,
secretaries, drivers.
Readers. Just, you never know what comes up when you need a pair of eyeballs. I'm not going to lie. That's what we say. I need somebody's eyes over here. Mm-hmm. What's this? Like somebody sends me a picture. Like what? And even my family, they know I've been blind for 18 years. They try to show me stuff. I'm like, I appreciate it, but I can't see that.
Did they describe it to you?
And once I say, you got to tell me. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, that's fine. Just tell me what it is.
Love it. I love it. Well, Michael, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. And
can you throw that email address for the MAB out at us one more time? So,
and we also have a local one I did not mention.
Oh.
Rimrock MAB. So that's RIMROCK MAB @gmail.com.
Okay.
The local one is at gmail.com, and that's rimrockmab @gmail. And our state website is mabsop.org. And we got a Facebook page too, so you can find us there.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for coming to educate us and tell us about you. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. See you next time on Living Well in Montana.